Mr. President, please accept my gratitude for the opportunity to speak. It's an honor. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard excellent arguments this evening from both sides. Since I'm going last, allow me to argue that the historic context that has been described, as well as the moral aspects, the legal aspects, as well as some leadership aspects, argue against this motion. I serve on a daily basis at NATO headquarters. NATO has tremendous force, conventional as well as nuclear, but we possess all this power and enjoy strong cohesion among 28 democratic nations because we seek peace through strength, firmness, predictability, cooperation, and dialogue. We build and maintain cohesion through tough discussions, disagreements, and compromises, because we all agree that all this might is there to promote peace and create stability, to avoid resorting to military means. My own experience, as well as history, argue that military force is destructive, and it often creates more problem than it solves, unless employed within a wider political purpose and a comprehensive framework. But as little as we want it, the use of force remains a critical ingredient to deter as well as to defeat in the service of peace. In sum, an argument for better utilization of military force, not for more or less. Hence, arguing for use of force must not become an argument against peace, against a comprehensive approach, or against civilian means as the more important extensions of politics. Nor should arguing for peace, for a comprehensive approach, and for civilian means as the more important extensions of politics be an argument against the use of force. If you allow this polarizing logic to persist, we will fail again. There are moral aspects we've heard about tonight. And allow me also to invite you to come with me to a village some years ago in the Balkans. This is one of my junior soldiers who told me this many years later. He said the village was silent. There was this eerie silence in the air. It was a strange smell. We came into a house and we found 3 generations of women nailed to the wall. They were still alive. Further up the hill, the village elder was nailed to the wall outside his house, facing the village square, to watch. As the square men were gathered, their bellies were opened so that what fell out could be nailed to the ground, and rifle fire around their legs made them run sooner or later. Mr. President, forgive me to bring reality into your chamber in such a brutal way. And I will not elaborate on the many similar stories involving women and children, but I would invite you to try to imagine one Paris every single day for the 5 years that has gone by in Syria. And then came ISIL to our neighbors. Every atrocity makes a convincing case that with some actors we have but 2 choices: to witness and become complicit by extension, or to take action and defeat or destroy the perpetrators, to rescue others and prevent further massacre. Might I add, to recognize and accept that we are partly to blame for the chaotic situation in Middle East and Northern Africa would be an important contribution to a constructive way ahead, as it has been in other peace processes not far away from this chamber. Legal aspects. There are many dilemmas and difficult questions about the relationship between war and peace. and the effort to replace one with the other. We recognize the concept of just war, a concept that suggests war is justified only when it meets certain preconditions. If it is waged as a last resort or in self-defense, if the force used is proportional, and if, whenever possible, civilians are spared from violence. The Fourth Geneva Convention, relative to the protection of civilian persons in war, state that civilians must be protected against acts or threats of violence, and that civilians must not be used to shield military operations. All four Geneva Conventions state a commitment to respect and to ensure respect. In the 1948 UN Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide, nations committed, our leaders committed, to undertake, to prevent, and punish genocide. In September 2005, at the UN World Summit, all member states formally accepted the responsibility of each state to protect its population from genocide, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity. All states are responsible for helping to protect people threatened. Should peaceful means be inadequate and national authorities fail, the international community should act collectively in a timely and decisive manner through the UN Security Council on a case-by-case basis. This responsibility does not go away because the permanent 5 members of the UN Security Council does not agree on a case. Neither does it go away because it is complicated, nor does it go away because it's difficult. Times are changing, circumstances have changed, but the intent of great leaders remain the same. We need to take action in these circumstances. The responsibility is there, although to implement and execute on this responsibility is sometimes complicated. And then there are leadership aspects, having been implied tonight. Every time we fail to let action follow words, we leave in the minds of opponents and perpetrators less credible deterrence and stronger temptation that the risk might be worth it. We cannot allow them to make a mockery of conventions and commitments, nor of the UN Security Council resolutions. We can and should not, in this interconnected day and age, allow coming generations to conclude that responsibility to protect is talk only, and that nothing has changed since Rwanda and Srebrenica. Our leaders are also failing to protect civilians if they do not take action, but they are also failing the fundamental responsibility of a state to keep their citizens safe. The preparations and capabilities emanating from these collapsing areas represent a clear and present danger to our populations. So, we the West have a responsibility to take also military action. We live in challenging times. The contexts have evolved. However, nothing changed the historic context or the moral aspects, the legal aspects, or the leadership aspects presented from both sides tonight related to our responsibility to act with military means as a supporting function. Vote against this motion.